Welcome back to TheChowTimePod. It's your host, Red. I got a video today from MTR. Please like, subscribe, comment down below. I really appreciate that. Let's get that chow. So I just wanted to start out with this was my crush growing up. I thought she was gorgeous. I thought she was one of the most gorgeous black women out there for sure, especially on Bring It On. Again, I like black women. I think black women are actually pretty beautiful. But she was definitely one of those crushes that I had as a kid. If I've ever had a chance with this one, I'd still go for it. But obviously she's older than me and everything, and I'm a nobody.
And 50-50 is I'm not going to be vulnerable enough to trust you
to be in control
with 100% of anything. Not my heart, not my cash, not my,
this shit goes deep.
My energy. And when I started to really address that, and I was like, do you want to pay the whole mortgage? I thought I was about to die. Not like I have to ask for help from a therapist, but I famously said 50-50 or bust, right? And and I meant that in every financially, spiritually, emotionally. And there's just a lot of days that I have 10% and I need him to be 90. There's days I don't have shit and I need him to be 100. And I realized that so much of, my anxiety, I was diagnosed with PTSD after being sexually assaulted at 19. The extreme anxiety, the anxiety attacks, the being hyper-focused on efficiency and time and being...
Girl, you sound like a man. Like, as gorgeous as you are, you sound like a man when you're talking about time efficiency and all these things. You're in the realm of men.
Fiercely independent are trauma responses. And when I started to really unpack that, a couple years ago, I was a part of my girlfriend Octavia Spencer's show, Truth Be Told, and it was about girls in the Bay Area where I was, black girls, brown girls in the Bay going through this. And there was the culmination was on the courthouse steps of the Alameda County Courthouse, the same courthouse I testified in front of the grand jury. And something in me broke, completely just broke. And I'm not even one of those people who can cry on cue, child. I'm like, bring in the menthol. But something in me broke. And it felt wild. I am a very controlled person. And I was going home every day crying to my husband. And he's like, who is this person? And I was remembering smells, sounds, feelings that my brain, thank God, had blocked out for, it was 92. So how many years is that? It's gonna be 33 years. Had blocked out. And it came back in a whoosh. And
now, I've done content on Gabrielle Union before, and I've been extremely critical of those 50-50 comments, extremely critical of this kind of boss B, independence, don't need no man attitude. But I've said it once and I'll say it again, and I will continue on saying it before. The majority of women that ride with those monikers as if they are a badge of honor are suffering through some type or sort of trauma response. It's happened time and time and time again. And at this point, I begin to feel bad because, right, like I'll do content on these.
I'm in the same boat as MTR. Now that I've done all of this, I've gone through a lot of this. I always get comments of why should we feel bad for them? They chose this or they did this. They know better. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes things happen to them, and then they become like this. I'm not trying to say we should feel sympathy for women, all over the place or anything like that, but there's the little nuances that my channel does cover every so often, but there's other channels that never really cover some of the nuances. And some of the nuances, there's bad men out there that ruined women. There are that too.
Women, knowing that behind all of their roughness and hardness and all this other bullshit is actually some person stuck within a thing that happened within their life years before that they haven't gotten healing or helping for. But now after all of these years and also involving herself within an environment and it being highly weird that stands up for what essentially is a trauma response. I mean, shit, if you go off of the basis of the things that she's saying, the whole goddamn feminist movement, at least at this junction, fourth wave, is a goddamn trauma response. But these women chock full of this trauma, right? Like some of it's just made up from...
It's funny because it's trauma response, MTR, but it's not even trauma response from their own traumas. It's trauma responses from other women. It's women that they're hearing stories about or see. It's not their own anecdotal evidence of trauma. It's just they're so, oh, this happened to her. Oh, it could easily happen to me. Now it became my trauma. These women are absorbing other women's trauma and making it as if their own, if they've experienced this trauma themselves. And it's just crazy. It's crazy that they have this staunch hate for men, but only through the experience of other women. They've never even experienced horrible things with men themselves.
Other stories that they've heard, or believing that they're within a patriarchy, or believing that they're getting their rights currently in modern times taken away. But either through real and or manufactured trauma, they will trauma bond. Upheld by women that seek solace in trauma bonding, and supplanted by women and an industry that makes money off of that trauma. This shit goes deep to the extent of being married and claiming all of this bullshit. And then without fail, they'll come back later in their 50s talking about that the things that they outwardly said had nothing to do with what they really wanted, but had to do with a trauma response.
I realized so much more about myself and what I survived and the power of your brain and the power of your body. But I was ready to finally deal with all of it. And
on MTR's thing, like again, I've always been a big fan of her looks and everything, but because of her 50-50 and the way she kind of pushed out that boss B, it was a very big turnoff. It is correct. It doesn't matter how much I was infatuated with you or in love with you, even though I didn't know you as a kid or whatever. I was a big fan. No, the attitudes that you displayed and kind of projected out there, it made me feel indifferent about you.
Start the work on releasing the new things that came up. But part of that work that I'm still working on is that trauma response. Timing myself doing the dishes, like timing everything. And when people are late, it's rude, but it makes me feel like you hate me, that you want something terrible to happen to me. It's not just, you got caught in traffic. It's you want something terrible to happen to me.
Stop it. Get some help.
Because as long as I can control time, as long as, as my brain is constantly moving and I'm thinking of every scenario, and people are like, oh, you're so quick-witted. I'm like, no, I thought about this question a billion times. It's a trauma response. It's never wanting to be out of control. I don't have control over what is happening to my body.
This shit goes deep, baby.
And 50-50 is I'm not going to be vulnerable enough to trust you
to be in control
with 100% of anything. Not my heart, not my cash,
sense.
not my,
this shit goes deep.
My energy. And when I started to really address that, and I was like, do you want to pay the whole mortgage? I thought I was about to die. I had such anxiety. Like I was crying, I was shaking.
Wow.
And he was like, yeah, you insisted on that. He's like, I thought it made you feel better. I'm like, it did. And right now I want to take it back, but let's just try for a month.
Wow.
And I was like, I couldn't, it felt like there was something blocking in my, from even swallowing or breathing. It felt crazy.
First off, it is odd to me that they have a mortgage. I mean, Dwayne, what you doing over there, baby? You worth like $200 million. What's going on? Secondly, this goes to the 25 and a half MTRs that are currently watching me right now. Many women don't have the facial aesthetics and or symmetry as well as visibility of a Gabrielle Union. So it's okay for her to figure this shit out at 50-something years old. She already got married. But for
I can't believe she's 50. Still looks good.
many women, y'all do not have this damn long Trust me when I say this, because you're giving away your best years by not addressing your shit, living out in the streets, repulsed by the idea of cooperation with a man. The trauma response to feeling out of control means that she wants to control everything. This is not within the natural order. She is not helping her husband meet a damn thing other than wanting to be and looking like a power couple. And you mix that control with the perversion of Holly Weird stirred up in a little pot. And I wonder, what are the things that you get? Men be in control of your households, as it's going to bring our society back to the natural order. You cannot let emotionality mixed with trauma control your households. This is how you get happy wife, happy life. Yep. And then you'll get at the tender age of 50, now that it's convenient, to walk back on the feminist ideals that you preached for the majority of your life. Finally realizing that you striving for equality or 50-50 is a trauma response.
Now it sounds crazy to be like, you, Mr. NBA superstar who made a bazillion more amount of money than I do, can pay the mortgage, because I hate the feeling of releasing that to someone. And you release that to someone, chaos can happen. And
True. It's possible.
So these are baby steps. Now, did I settle on about 35% of the more, instead of 50? Sure. But, I'm trying to, okay, you got it. And it's brought us closer, because he knows it's not about whether he can afford it. It's being vulnerable enough to be open enough
and you're being
to know
woman.
that I'm okay. I'm okay as his wife. I'm okay. He's okay as my husband. I'm okay in this family. I'm okay in this home. I deserve it. And I'm okay.
Yet again, yet another clip that demonstrates the clear difference on men and women and how we're handling different situations. Because if we're watching a man say here that they're suffering from a trauma from 30 years ago, and because of that, he's unable to pay for his family bills, he will be criticized for being a dusty bum into infamy. But enough of that equality talk. All jokes aside, I'm glad that at least at 50-something, she's up here speaking about this, because I do think that it'll benefit relationships going into the future.
Agreed.
Now that she has officially identified where her thoughts, feelings, perceptions, ideologies, and comments and behavior was coming from. But
I think a lot of people still look up to her. I've talked to like a few girls, and I've mentioned like, oh, who's who was your high school crush? I'd tell them like Gabriella Union, and they're like, oh my God, she's so gorgeous, she's so good. And I'm like, oh, she still has influence. She still has some kind of penetration to younger people. Some of the girls I talked to, they're like in their early 20s. I'm like, wait, but I guess because Bring It On was such a big cult following movie, so even newer generations are watching Bring It On, so it could be that. But no, she still has crazy influence. So for her to admit, to tell the truth, to share some of these things, it might touch upon some of the ladies out there, some of the women out there. It might help them.
at the end of the day, she is an actress, so who knows?
True.
Questions, comments,
True.
concerns. Y'all already know what to do. Me, tourismreviews@gmail.com.
Yeah, the other side about these actors and everything is they're actors. We don't know they're genuine about a lot of these things because they're good at acting. I think that's why a lot of people enjoy my channel, because they always sense that I'm very genuine with my emotions and just how I react to everything and my thought process. Genuineness is something that we're lacking a lot of in the United States or in the West. Everybody has this facade in front of them. So please like, subscribe, comment down below. I really appreciate that, and I can do this.